Well, the Wicked ceasefire has come to an end because we are back with Aryeh to discuss Wicked for Good, or should I say Wicked for Very, Very Bad. I am Simian Jimmy, joined by a man who watched Wicked 1 and 2 as a double feature in the movie theater. Spent, 5 or 6, 7 odd hours in the theater. It's Eggy, Eggman Rodriguez.
That's right, with the 13-minute intermission, and for, they had to let all the first film credits play out for some god-awful reason. I believe the listed runtime in total was 5 hours and 35 minutes straight in my seat at Flick's Brewhouse, Des Moines, Iowa. Stand up, baby, that's right.
And the man who reviewed the Wicked Broadway musical with us, 2 or 3 months ago? Well, now he's back after doing all sorts of online shenanigans I can't wait to hear about. From Fish Tank and so much other shit I can't even imagine. It's Aryeh.
Thank you. And believe me, my last few months have not been exciting. This is going to be the most excitement I've had since we recorded the first podcast, actually.
I could have sworn scrolling through your Twitter feed, I saw so many strange things that those are just old screenshots then of you. I don't even remember what I saw. It's like covered in weird objects or...
I was the star of another internet reality show. Well, there's a group of guys that... So, I don't know where to start with this lore. So there was this group... thing that the Fish Tank website did called Stream Stars between seasons 3 and 4, where they let people stream on the website. And the winner was going to get a chance to audition for season 4. Ultimately, they ended up having open auditions anyway, and also no one who participated in Stream Stars ended up being picked for the show. But people formed a little community there, and they were like, let's do our own Fish Tank knockoff. They did a Fish Tank knockoff show called Sardine Tin, where I showed up as a freeloader, which is the freeloaders what they call on Fish Tank, someone who shows up and hangs out but eligible for the grand prize.
Now, just to be clear, who is running Sardine Tin? Is this an official spin-off, or is who did this?
So it was done by fans, but...
Okay, so technically they're all fucking freeloaders in a way.
Right, except they did have an actual contest with the prize. Also,
that's good.
And so technically there have been 4 Sardine Tin projects. And the second one, Sardine Tin 2, was streamed on the Fish Tank website. Because they've been needing programming to keep the fans occupied in between seasons. So Sardine Tin 2 aired
the
on
fan-made
Fish Tank
spin-off was good enough that the official show just started airing it. That's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, they also aired one other fan-made spin-off called El Estanque, which is Spanish language filmed in El Salvador. I was given an offer to be on it, and I decided not to go, and I regret that, because apparently legendary Guntmaster Ethan Ralph showed up.
That's right.
And also Binks, who I have an open crush on, showed up.
And also, all of our favorite star of all time, the greatest winner in Fish Tank history, TJ, hashtag TJ Maxers for life, that's right.
In my heart, Jimmy won season 2. I don't care what the facts say.
That's fair. And you know what else, speaking of, who won Stream Stars is one of my top dogs of my streams for many years, Sour Farmer. He was picked to be the winner, and then they told him, yeah, by the way, there's no prize anymore. But, we all know he's the real man that had the real plan. He did a lot. I heard he smoked some disgusting things out of a bong and many other great challenges to win that competition. So, hashtag Sour Farmer Pride. He hosts something called the Sneedcast. Y'all can go check it out.
Does Ethan Ralph speak Spanish? I know he lived in Mexico for a while.
I don't think he does.
So how do you go on a Spanish-speaking program if you don't speak the language? Did they just, get pied in the face and stuff?
They had an AI translator, and it made conversations awkward.
ChatGPT is really good at that, actually.
Keep in mind, I've only seen clips. I did not watch El Estanque for prolonged periods of time. everything I know about it comes from either clips or stuff other people who watched it told me about it. So I might get something wrong if I have to talk about it.
I think the clips I saw, Ethan Ralph just kind of got belittled by the TTS because that was coming through in English, and so all his A logs were talking that smack, and he was yelling up at the wig. Was like, "Wow, you bitch! That's not true." And then,
Wait, the Ralpha Mail has detractors online?
Broke Dick Farms, that's right.
What the hell?
Yeah,
What's there to hate?
I haven't really kept up with Ralph since I found out about him trying to manipulate that mentally ill teenage girl into being in a throuple with him and Digi Bro's ex. and apparently he got drunk and beat her while she was pregnant. The whole thing just, like...
Well, an abortion costs like $250. Beating is free.
Just saying, he was too scummy for me to have any interest in following him, but I still would have liked the chance to make fun of him in person.
I think it's rough to make your boyfriend become a woman and say, "Oh no, I still want to be with you when you're trans," and then ditch him for like an obese guy.
Well, do we really know that May made Digi Bro do that, or did Digi Bro want to do that all along?
I think she heavily encouraged it and was there every step of the way.
Well, why would she do that if she's not attracted to trans women?
Good question.
Maybe it's because she wanted to make... This is all speculation. This is all bullshit speculation pulling out of my ass. What if he wanted to make Digi Bro into a man, ironically enough, by asking him to do increasingly crazy things until he finally puts his foot down and says no. And this was like on a list of things she was going to use to try to get him to be more assertive. And instead, he just gave in to everything.
It sounds like, according to Low Res Wonderbread, that's what happened to the Wachowski brothers. Like, it was a weird fetish thing of dominate me and humiliate me, and then they realized, no, I actually enjoy wearing this dress and wig, so I'm just going to do it all the time. So maybe it kind of worked on Digi Bro.
Just to be clear, I've never spoken to Digi Bro. I am not affiliated with him. Though
what about the Wachowskis?
No, unfortunately, I'm also not affiliated with Wachowski.
So we're just talking about people we've never met. We're all in the same boat here. I've never met any of these people, right, Eggy?
Yeah, except for that one time that I was in Florida at the strip club with Ethan Ralph and Digi Bro, and I think this was when he was still with and also with May, and he was wearing that pink latex spandex suit and like standing outside the strip club and not going in for some reason.
And you had to go.
Hey, you know what?
You had to excuse yourself to masturbate because Digi's outfit was so attractive.
Well, it was after I got the lap dance, so I was already, I started recharging, but then we went to Rusty's hotel room, and then that's when it really started firing up. But anyway,
well, you got a lap dance, but it was like blue balls. You don't get to come, and then you just go to Rusty's hotel. That sucks.
One of Dick Masterson's fans that came with the entourage to the club, he paid for me to get a dance from a African woman in the private room, full nudity. It was pretty dank. And Ethan Ralph gave me a seat at the bar, so, people say things about him. He's only ever treated me with kindness in every capacity. He does incredibly relatable things like a lot of drugs and alcohol and then pass out on streams for hours at a time while screaming. So, at the end of the day, I'm in a glass house. I keep my stones juggled like the clown that I am. It is what it is.
They say, my friend's friend is my friend, or what's that expression? But, if you're an enemy of Digi Bro, I don't know why you wouldn't be a friend of mine.
If you were his pregnant girlfriend, he'd probably treat you differently, based on the allegations. I fully believe.
I'm also 18 inches taller than him, so it'd be really easy for him to hit me in the stomach. I'd have to probably just keep a distance with him for already as it is. But in any case, I do agree, though, it's not good to beat pregnant women. That's why that was very hard for me to not celebrate George Floyd for all the good things he did. But that was just putting me over the edge. I had to say no, thank you. At that.
No, he didn't. He didn't. He threatened her with a gun. He didn't hurt her.
So he's actually better in that regard than Mr. Ralph. Well,
the emotional stress was good for the fetus. Can you guys tell I don't want to talk about Wicked 2? We're 10 minutes in and we talk about fucking Digi Bro the whole time. Here's what happened to me. I watched the cam rip of this movie at 1 a.m. last night. I give it its rightful 1.5-star letterboxd review. And I heard that Ariana Grande has been diagnosed with COVID. And I would imagine going on the press tour, she spread it to lots of people, including, what's her name, Cynthia a burrito? What's her name?
Well,
So
I mean,
for,
no
for
one
my
cares
letterbox
about
review,
COVID.
just to finish up real quick, I said I hope that COVID wins, as in I hope Ariana Grande drops dead within 2 weeks. And my karmic punishment was I woke up with severe allergies today, which is why we're not doing camera, because I'm just dripping snot and blowing my nose constantly and sound like shit. So that's why I can't talk or breathe at all today, because I was mean to Ariana Grande on Letterboxd. But REA, go ahead.
I mean, COVID isn't going to kill you unless you're obese or have some other
She's
comorbidity.
severely anorexic.
Okay, I don't actually know. Does COVID like have a higher fatality rate among the extremely thin?
If she's quadruple vaxxed and she's still getting it, first of all, not a good sign for the vaccine. But it's got to be a pretty bad case.
Well, I haven't thought about COVID politics in a few years now, but from what I remember, the vaccine wasn't supposed to stop you from getting COVID. It was just supposed to make the symptoms less likely to injure or kill you.
So maybe she will not die, and my review is not prognosticating the future.
Right. I doubt she'd die. But
that's too bad.
You know those two comic relief, I don't even remember if they were given names in the movie, but they're like Linda's posse.
The guy.
Bo and Yang.
Yeah, they weren't in the stage show, but they're overweight, so if they got COVID, they might need to worry.
Yeah, and Cynthia a burrito, she's bald, so she might have cancer or something.
She's also black, which means she's statistically more likely not to be vaccinated.
Sickle cell.
That's right. She listened to Nicki Minaj just like we all did, and that's why Nicki Minaj is speaking at the United Nations this week, I think. Donald Trump personally appointed her, and I'm happy he did. You know what? More patriots in effect. And what was very interesting was, as I was watching the double feature, Disclosed TV on Telegram, which is what I follow for all my breaking news sources, they announced that she had COVID the minute the first film ended, because as the credits rolled, I grabbed my phone to check, and it was that minute. It was breaking that minute as far as I received the notification that she'd been diagnosed. So I thought that was interesting. And I also saw online, after I was like, okay, I'm not going to spoil myself now, to read some of the comments. I follow all these film accounts now that I'm back on Twitter after many years. And they were saying that, I guess, in interviews and stuff, she's not been very cognitively functional. It's not Ozempic for her. It is starvation, I guess. That's what she's using to lose weight. So, she's not even really knowing what's going on. So if she's in, a state of feverishness already from not getting enough nutrients to stay as thin or getting thinner, whatever the case might be, she might not be having enough in her system to fend off against sickness. So
Eggy, you're bringing my hopes, my spirits, my dreams. They're back up and alive. Thank goodness you're here. REA's trying to turn me down, say, oh, quadruple vax. She's as safe as she could be. Well, when you're not eating food, maybe I'll get lucky. You'll get punished for making these films.
Personal level, I hope she's okay. On a fanboy level, I think being lightheaded from not eating enough would be the mindset to go into a Little Shop of Horrors remake with, because she's my top choice to play Audrey if that ever actually happened.
After all those plastic surgeries, maybe she could play the plant. Did you see what she did to her nose? I saw the side-by-side of her as a child, and if you didn't tell me it was the same person, I mean, it's shocking. Completely different nose, like somebody went in with a jackhammer and resculpted it teeny tiny out of clay.
She's tried to make herself ethnically ambiguous. I can't even really call it blackface, because she's not trying to be black. She's trying to be some sort of weird post-racial human being that's an amalgamation of all these different groups. That's my interpretation of her. Actually thought she was Hispanic the first time I ever saw her, after she became a pop star, and then I looked up her heritage and she's just Italian.
So she is black. So I mean, at the end of the day, if she's getting darker, that's actually more of a return to form. To be quite
Eggy still
honest.
says Italians are black.
I mean, if we're going to do this bit, everyone's black because we all came from Africa, blah, blah, blah.
When I made my History of Humanity video, people said that was debunked.
Was it debunked?
I think history, honestly, is just a matter of opinion at this point. Like, you'll find evidence of everything, and you can believe anything you want. I've seen shit saying, like, Lincoln was a horrible dictator. There's a lot of good evidence behind it, but everybody loves him, so it really is just a matter of opinion, isn't it?
I mean, he did throw writers in the Union who were writing in support of the Confederacy into
the press
prison
as
for
well?
writing in support of the Confederacy.
Yeah, not good stuff.
He very much violated the First Amendment. I'm not an expert on Lincoln, but as someone who cares about the First Amendment, when I found out about that, it made me sad.
And so if we can't really decide on a man who lived 150 years ago, when it comes to the origin of man, I imagine half the scientists are, like, religious anyway, so there's probably 12 different agreed upon opinions on this shit.
I thought most scientists were either atheist or agnostic, at least in the West.
You would hope so, but I just watched that new Age of Disclosure UFO documentary that people are also saying, oh, this is all old news, who cares? But, what point was I even making about that?
Well, it's science. We fucking love science.
Oh, that's right. The scientists, the politicians told them they can't come out with this because the politicians were religious and that it disproves God. So we can't let the public know about all this alien technology. I don't know if I was supposed to roll my eyes at that or believe it or not.
I don't see how the existence of aliens would prove that there's no creator, or make it less likely that there's a creator. But none of this has to do with Wicked. My opinion as a Wicked fan is that this movie was still good, but got some important things from the stage show wrong, and in ways that confuse me. So, one of the important, I don't know if I can call it a twist, one of the important changes that happened around the song A No Good Deed is Alphaba's supposed to have a nervous breakdown and decide that she's going to start acting evil. So from that point on, she's supposed to be hysterical and yelling and angry. And the idea is that the Wicked Witch that we see in the movie, the classic Wizard of Oz movie, is a meaning decent person who's in the midst of a nervous breakdown.
So like the 20 minutes of her life where she's acting like that is when we meet her in this movie.
Exactly. And I thought that Cynthia, I said before, like during the previous podcast, there's a scene in Wicked Act 1 where she's supposed to be yelling, and I thought they made it weaker by not having her yell. Here, the same thing happened on a bigger scale, because she's supposed to be very, very upset. Like, oh, nothing matters. Everything I do just gets worse. I'm going to end this. And I'm not buying it. She seems so calm. We even see, just like in the stage show, we see like from her perspective, the part where she locks Dorothy in that room and is like, oh, you better give me the shoes or else I'm going to kill you. And she doesn't look that angry. And like,
can I get meta and make a guess here? Because the Cynthia, she's very aware of racial implications. She got very mad when people were editing posters to erase her eyeballs. Like, oh, how dare you erase this beautiful black woman's face to any degree, stuff like that. Maybe she does not want to be seen as the angry black woman screaming, and she's not giving it the full performance it deserves.
I mean, that's my working theory, but it's so absurd that it's hard for me to believe that's even what happened. Like, it would make sense if it was just, well, they don't want to have her get angry unless she really needs to. Like, the part of the movie where she really needs to get angry in order for this whole, like, Wizard of Oz connection to make sense. Like, she's still doing the lines. Like, they did it differently. Delivery. So that I just don't buy that. Don't buy that she's actually threatening this little girl, even though there's no little girl.
You cut out a little bit from Discord. What'd you say there?
Originally, I thought that this was a race thing. That was when I thought they were only going to hold back on her yelling during the first part. So important that she yells during this part that the idea that they would just like tell her to tone it down just for some social justice reason, that seems like crazy to believe, but I literally can't think of any other explanation.
Does the movie not have many examples of social justice or race casting over actual quality? Because Michelle Yeoh, nothing against her, she just won that Academy Award for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So like, oh, she's a big name, she's Asian, let's throw her in the mix, major role. But she told him, I cannot sing, don't make me sing. And it shows in the movie, she's not singing. It's like when I think The Rock actually might be a better singer, but it's just like they're basically speaking kind of slightly poetically, I guess. So I think they'll cast people and then not care if the performance is bad. They just wanted that person.
I mean, the weird thing is, Cynthia is a good actor. Like all these other emotions nailed. Just that the specific part where she's supposed to be losing her mind, she just reads it like she's like she seems distressed but not angry, and so an audience member, I don't buy that this is the Wicked Witch of the West from the movie. And that's like, I'm having trouble articulating like my thoughts on this, but it was like I was just floored by how underplayed her anger was at this part of the movie.
She lacked the passion and the mania.
Exactly. The lines are the same, even though we still hear her say, Glinda say, hey, you shouldn't be threatening that little girl, even though we still see Alphaba close the trap door where Dorothy's being held, that scene in the movie where it fills up with sand and she's like, I'm going to suffocate you unless you give me the shoes. Like, this version of Alphaba not sell the anger for me to believe that she's doing it. And that is a major point against the movie that I have. And
may I perhaps argue in favor of the portrayal based on my perception of having watched both films back to back, and this is the first time I'd seen the original Wicked film, although obviously I saw the stage show with both of you. So starting from in the original film, we get these visions of the younger Alphaba, and she's obviously probably more as a result of the social isolation as a result of her condition, but it's hard to say for sure. But this portrayal of her as a young person is very awkward and kind of nerdy and everything like that. In any instance, and perhaps it's still shown in this film, but more so in the first, any instance of her gaining a temperament or having any upset part of her emotions then is released in that way that it is like a magical explosion that causes damage and all kinds of chaos around her. So it didn't necessarily, as far as within the universe of this film and the predecessor specifically, not taking into consideration the stage show nor the original material, just as far as what's portrayed in this film, nothing was necessarily off-putting to me about her demeanor, because I kind of felt like there's an indignation that is present in her demeanor, as you mentioned, like it's there, it's knowable, but why is it not as exceptional as it's made to be in previous material? And I didn't necessarily set me off in any kind of way, because I had seen in these previous instances where that was so disruptive to her life, and she had kind of had such a learned behavior to turn her feelings inwards or to suppress those feelings for the betterment of her life and the people around her as well.
You make a good point. The reason that she's not overtly angry is because she's learned that when she gets overtly angry, her magic wrecks shit. Again, sort of a whole point of no good deed is that she doesn't care about that anymore. So I guess it makes sense, but still feel like we had to see her. We can't see her like getting angry and yelling and looking wicked. And at the very least, I think they should have used that extra time, because they gave us an extra hour and a half over what was in Act 2 of the stage show. They could have used an extra time to actually show her talking to Dorothy. Like, they don't actually show Dorothy because, part of the stylistic decisions of both the stage show and the movie is that they're not going to show Dorothy's face. You could show her conversation with Dorothy and only show it from her perspective. Like you could still.
And Eggy, don't they show Dorothy in part 1? Those motherfuckers.
Not her face. They show her from the back.
They show her. Why? Yeah, they pussied out. At least show us the witch being evil and torturing her. But I think maybe you're right. You're onto something. The producers themselves, they didn't want this character to seem at any point unsympathetic. They are too cowardly to actually have a villainous main character. They want all the tweens and the kids to love and, I'm literally wicked, I need this on my lunchbox, or whatever the kids are doing these days. I think they did pussy out of actually making her be evil at any point.
Again, my interpretation of the stage show was that Alphaba isn't actually evil, and that she doesn't actually plan on killing Dorothy. She wants Dorothy to fear for her life. And that's kind of true to life for people having nervous breakdowns. They make empty threats, but they seem real in the moment. There are people who have nervous breakdowns and actually are violent, but there are also lots of people who have these breakdowns and make threats and start. Like, there's a writer I'm not going to name the writer because I don't want to dig up this drama, but there's a writer I like who stopped taking his bipolar meds, started sending rape threats to people. And he had to issue an apology over it. And that's the mental state that I interpret Alphaba as being in. Not a chemically induced one, like a one from having an extremely traumatic day. That's my. But still, it does feel like they weren't willing, be it for racial reasons or marketing reasons, show us any of that. Like, the plot point that she has a nervous breakdown is still there. We don't see a hint of it. We just kind of hear people discussing it, and that makes it, and that leaves me unable to really buy this is the Wicked Witch of the West. Again, let me know if I'm repeating myself too much. I do tend to repeat myself sometimes. But
what worked for me in the opening is that her reputation as the Wicked Witch, it's kind of like One Piece, if I'm going to tie everything to One Piece, where they have a bad reputation because they're an enemy of the world government, which is corrupt and evil to begin with. So when she's using her, basically superpowers, and we're having a Marvel superhero intro where she's attacking the slave whippers of the animals building the yellow brick road, and it's all this epic fight scene. I like that of being, that's why she has this reputation. She's an enemy of the government. And I don't think she really needs to do anything actually evil. But I guess if you're having a nervous breakdown, you'll torture a 12-year-old girl and her dog. I don't know if I buy that.
I mean, again, that's how we're able to understand. How we're able to reconcile the Wicked version of Alphaba with the Wizard of Oz version.
But to be clear, it's none of this is canon, right? Like, the Wizard of Oz,
right? I mean,
it was never intended that witch was anything other than a horrible bitch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the music. I haven't read the novel, but people who've read the novel have told me the novel makes no attempt to line the events of Wicked up with the events of the original movie. It's just clearly its own universe. Whereas the musical tries to line up the events of itself with the events of the movie as closely as possible.
And is that why everybody hates Act? Is that why everybody hates Act 2? Is that we get the origin story for the Tin Man and the Cowardly Lion and the Scarecrow? And then it doesn't make any sense that these characters don't know each other in the movie, even though they should.
I wouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people do make that complaint. I totally buy that. I totally buy that. That the Tin Man lied to Dorothy about his origin because, like, he probably think. I'm calling him the Tin Man, Buck. I could totally see Buck thinking, well, I want to manipulate this little girl into helping me kill Alphaba. I should probably make it sound like this is a personal blood feud for me. But it is weird that he wouldn't look at Fiero and go, "Did I know you?" It's not perfect, but Age Musical does up close enough for me to accept it, despite the plot holes. I mean, it's a fan fiction. It's impossible because these things weren't. Wizard of Oz wasn't written 90-something years ago with the intent of Wicked existing. These things aren't going to match up perfectly.
Yeah.
I think the musical does a fairly good job. Good enough for me. These plot holes didn't even occur to me until like weeks after I saw the musical.
Eggy, I need to hear about this nightmare experience some more. Did you get food delivered to you at the very least at this fancy movie theater?
Yeah, so I think when I got the tickets, it said, oh, you should show up 30 minutes prior to screen time. And I was like, well, that seems a bit excessive. I don't know why. But to be fair, I still kind of ended up getting there maybe about 20 minutes early. Just because I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe this is something with this being a special sort of establishment. Maybe they really do want you there early. So I didn't have anything else going on that early in the morning. This was started at 11 a.m. And so it was 5.5 hours starting at 11 a.m. So I went in and seated, and they had the QR code menu. And yeah, to be fair, they really had all kinds of stuff. They had like full entrees of really anything you could think of, anything from nachos to tendies to full pasta dishes, sandwiches, burgers, pizzas, everything. But I just got some of the elote, cilantro, lime, chili popcorn. That was very good.
Oh.
I got this chicken sandwich, and we got some nachos. So this is all just between the two of us. We kind of had all this. And yeah, you just plugged it in, and yeah, people would come to your seat, and you had a table with a small, just a very small light there. More of like a little LED strip, really, but just enough to be able to keep being able to scan the menu during the film or whatever. And maybe a
this
tiny
Alamo Draft House.
It's basically like a Draft House ripoff. It's called Flick's Brew House. They have one in Des Moines and I guess a few other locations, but it's a very similar concept. I didn't have any beers though, since it was 11 o'clock in the morning. So I sat through all this completely sober.
Oh my god.
Did you get bored sitting in one place for almost 6 hours?
I have to say, it was more of a compelling picture than I thought. I think maybe about like the third quarter of the first film began to drag for me a little bit, but then like it finished off well enough, and I think that it helped me enjoy the second film a little bit more, because I did feel that the second film was weaker. But if I had seen it as its own picture, it would have gone completely over my head. I'm like, what the hell am I even watching? There's no way it would have worked for me the same kind of way. And also, I mean, I had a 50-year-old man on my one side. I have a girlfriend on the other side, so I wasn't sitting next to like screeching Disney adults, because there was a few in the mix there, but they were many seats away, and I didn't have to smell them or anything. They were saying they bought their clothes from supercutedresses.com. They were all that's what, if I can remember that URL correctly, because they were talking about it repeatedly. They were all wearing these like replica Disney dresses, and these were all like 40-year-old women that maybe weighed about 400 pounds each. It is what it is, but so it was interesting.
Maybe I could have hit on one of them.
You like 400-pound women?
I'm not opposed to dating a woman who's 400 pounds. Just specifically attracted to the idea of a woman who's way too old to be excited about musicals, getting really excited about musicals.
What about somebody with an Ariana Grande skeleton body? Would you be opposed to that?
I wouldn't be opposed, but they'd probably think I'm too fat.
You'd be surprised.
That's
Are
right.
anorexic girls are willing to date obese guys?
I'm not gonna. Biggs' wife is not anorexic, but I would say she is a completely normal, healthy weight for a woman married to Biggs. Like, I was shocked.
I do have more like critiques of the movie, but you actually hate it, so I'd like to hear your rage about the movie if you're willing to rage for me.
Can you get passionately angry about something that bored you to tears? Let's see if I can even work up the effort. Oh man, if only all the allergy medicine wasn't numbing my brain beyond belief.
I have one thing that I actually did get angry about though, which maybe I forgot this in the stage show, and this is a major spoiler alert. If you just can't, if you're just cannot handle any major spoilers, here's your warning. The fact that she's not dead. She just climbs out of a trap door at the end with the Scarecrow, and they climb off into like a portal to Egypt, and they're like walking through. And I think that was in the first film that there was the flash of that. I'm pretty sure it was. I said very referential.
In the stage show, she did fake her death. That whole thing did happen in the stage show. The difference is that in the stage show, Glinda never finds out that Alphaba's alive. It ends with Glinda thinking that Alphaba's dead. Whereas here, Alphaba uses some kind of magic with grimoire to send a signal to Glinda, letting her know that she's alive. And that seemed unnecessary to me. That seemed like them trying to put, a little more happiness into this very bittersweet ending, which I don't mind. I just see it as unnecessary.
I think it follows the pattern here of where the edges are being rounded off. Alphaba's rage, just kind of whatever now, and I think that perhaps the sales aspect, because after we watched the film, it was in a mall complex, and I went to go buy some discounted candles because I like to burn candles, especially this season. They have the best smelling ones right now, and as I walked through, they have toys of all different kinds, hundreds of dollars for these Lego sets for Wicked. Like, what market exists for that? None, because what girls are buying giant Lego complexes. They have snack cake lines, one that's a whole Glinda line, one that's a whole Alphaba line. They have dolls, they have drinkware, they have like your toilet paper has Wicked branding on it, all kinds of stuff. So it's so overly commercialized, I think, that maybe that did play a role in the fact that nothing could be too strong or too anything. I don't know, what was this, rated PG or something?
PG-13 probably.
No, it was rated PG.
Oh wow!
Which is
with those scary monkeys.
No, the thing that made it surprising, and actually, my mom, who's a boomer, was complaining on the way out of the movie. This is rated PG, but Fiero and Alphaba very clearly had sex. Like, that scene's still in the stage show, but in the stage show they don't get naked. Here they get naked at the end of it.
Yeah, Fiero gets whooped pretty good by them soldiers or whatever. He's getting beat on pretty good and hung up, and yeah.
Yeah, I wanted this to be PG-13 so we could actually see him get crucified and whipped. And here we only see little fragments of it. I mean, that's still more than in the stage show where it happens off stage and we just hear Alphaba's reaction, but I was hoping to get a really brutal torture scene. I'm not even joking. I think that would have been cool.
I think it would have been fitting.
Well, I thought that he did deserve a solid beating when he came back as a 3D printed sneaker man Scarecrow, looking totally freakish and disturbing. I wish there was some extra beatings going on, but it is what it is.
My theory for why she had to have that ending, letting her know, Ariana Grande, I'm still alive. I think it's obvious that a large portion of the fan base is shipping these two women into a sexual lesbian relationship, and the film even ends on a fucking shot of them embracing, head on the shoulder, whispering in her ear, very romantic and cuddly final shot to make all the lesbian shippers in the audience break out in tears at the credits. So they want to dull the edges, like Eggy's saying, and also I think appeal to the shippers in a way. Give them a little bit more hope and less tragedy.
That does actually make sense. I hadn't thought about like I know about the shippers, and I know that they've been a big part of the Wicked fandom since the show came out. But it hadn't occurred to me that the producers might specifically want to pander to them. But that does make sense.
The official The Sims account on Twitter tweeted out Sims versions of Alphaba and Pink Bitch kissing as Sims, and somebody pointed out I think they're owned by like Saudi Arabia or something, so I don't know if they would appreciate that, but maybe they don't have a choice. I mean, there's lots of gay sex in The Sims anyway, so.
One of the unfortunate side effects, gay rights, which obviously I'm supportive of overall, but one of the unfortunate side effects is that any platonic brotherhood or sisterhood is going to be assumed to have gay undertones.
Oh, tell us about it. Oh my god, every comment section, Eggy. They're on to us. Yeah, Eggy's like, oh yeah, I went with my girlfriend to see the double feature of Wicked, wink wink. And I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely wasn't there.
Well, some people, I don't know, just when I say it every time, I'm like, oh, would you? Well, I hung out with Mumkey this week, and then we went to go see the movie, and that's every single thing I've done for the last, 70 weeks. I mean, like, what? It was, and then all of a sudden I go on a date with a girl, and they're like, oh, and they're like, hey, you just can't please everybody. It is what it is. For the record, I'm not gay, and if it's paid for, leave it at the door.
Yeah, Eggy proves he's not gay, and we get a top comment that says "Fake Cell Podcast." Like, come on, people. Can't you be happy for my man? He's like 35 now. Give him a break. You can't be incel forever.
This is unrelated, but thought I just had. Can someone who's gay also be an incel, given how horny gay men are?
I'd say so.
I started a Grindr account once just to browse, and without even putting any pictures on my profile, because again, it was just to browse and laugh at profile, I had people hitting on me. There were men who wanted to have sex with me just based on the fact that I was a man in their area, without even knowing what I looked like.
Now, I don't doubt that at all, and it very well may be completely true, but there's also a chance it was bots trying to trick you, because Hans made an account on midget dating, midgetsingles.com, and he also did not fill out the profile, and when we checked it again a week later, it also had messages from people.
I did not know there was a midget dating site.
There's 4 of them, if I recall, Eggy.
There was a top 4 list, and the one that Hans used is actually just a general, like, disabilities catch-all dating website as well, so you could have dwarfism or little person as like a tag on your profile, but you can also be autistic, schizophrenic, bipolar, quadriplegic, paralyzed, and really we were trying to match as many as possible because I mean, you really want to, somebody who's really experienced this life and everything it has to offer, just tagged up with every kind of disease and everything. That's a real story to learn right there.
Okay, so I apologize for my incorrect statements about gay men having it easy when getting laid.
No, you might still be correct about that. I think some guys are horny enough to fuck any hole.
And his name is Bert. That's right.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of people.
Bird, is that Digi Bro's boyfriend?
Bert with a T, but they both have similar sexual proclivities, I think.
Is that from Severance?
No, he was the winner of the 3rd season of Fish Tank.
There's a gay guy named Bert on Severance. That's funny. That's like a triple pun, because it sounded like Bird for Digi Bro and all the others. Because all those people, I guess, will fuck any hole.
Literally, the only thing I know about Severance is that I think that's the show that Dasha from Red Scare was on before she got blacklisted.
She was on Succession. She briefly dated Kendall Roy. And then I think the cousin Greg, the 6'7" guy, tried to hit on her, and she's like, no, I'm too good for you.
Brutal.
And then she was not brought back for season 4.
Most of the things I watch are cartoons. The only live-action drama I'm following right now is Pluribus.
We're watching that as well.
Yeah, I saw your podcast, and I think I left a comment telling you what I think is going on, which is that I don't think that there is an alien race that engineered the virus. I think the virus, like all life forms, have the imperative to reproduce. I think what happens is after the virus takes over a planet, they use all the planet's resources to build a satellite. Will beam the code for the virus out into space so that other planets can pick it up. Like I think that the hive mind just is exactly what they appear to be, and their ultimate plan is just to spread themselves further throughout the universe. I don't think there's going to be a twist that they're actually like created by another alien race to.
Well, it would have to originate somewhere, right? The code being shot through space. Like, who did that to begin with? Who invented it?
Well, it's like, so there's this argument called irreducible complexity that a lot of like creationists make to explain that evolution couldn't have just happened naturally, because there's no way eyes would evolve. But eyes evolve in increments, like a very, very tiny cell that allows you to perceive your environment slightly better than no cells, and gradually more and more of these cells evolve and eventually they form an eye. I can't say the exact mechanism through which such like the hive mind virus could evolve. But the idea that it could evolve organically seems no less miraculous to me than the idea that human life could evolve organically without divine intervention.
But just the way that it's traveling through space, I feel like it can't just happen. It's traveling through space
because previous versions of the virus, like previous societies that were conquered by the virus, used all their resources, build a satellite, and beam it out, and beam itself out into space. The thing that sent the virus out into space, it's another instance of the virus on another planet. But I don't think that there is any other alien species involved in this process. I think it is just the virus spreading itself.
Well, could it be just
I think, going on.
One angry mad scientist, let's call him Dr. Fauci, who lives on some alien planet? Maybe he wanted to fuck over his own people, and then it just went out of control, and now the whole universe is at risk.
I guess that could also be the case.
I like the idea that ultimately Carol here, most stories, the highest stakes are saving the world. So the idea that she might liberate like hundreds of planets worth of people and save them from this, that's a pretty epic stakes in my mind. So I hope it ends up being that.
My only I have no honest to God, no prediction for where the show is going, because like I thought Earth was fucked until last episode where she managed to get a confession that it is possible to break people out of the hive mind. So I have no idea how she would go about doing that if there are no I don't even know what field of science we'd be talking about here. Like molecular. There's such a thing as a molecular physicist? Probably not. I can't think of the term I'm looking for.
Biology. The scientists had to invent those words in the first place. So I feel like just like in this movie, a running theme, since this is the first time I saw both Wickeds, is they have this manner of speaking where they just make words slightly wrong and different. Like if something's delicious, this has such deliciositas or something like that. So that's how scientists invent this stuff in the first place.
It's retarded docious.
Yeah. So it goes.
That is how I talk. Wicked is literally my language.
I often make up my own words and hope people know what I meant, and that's how words are created to begin with. So, fuck it. I'm an inventor and a scientist. I do have some notes on how I would improve the movie. I want to see if Arye agrees with me. So,
okay.
Like you said, we're doing Act 2 of Wicked. They're adding an extra 90 minutes of material. We're adding new songs. So, hypothetically, you can do literally anything. What do? They just take the wizard and I and change the words so that she calls him a liar in every single lyric. The wizard will lie. Fuck off, bitch. Here's what you need to do. We just watched a movie called K-Pop Demon Hunters. And I was impressed that during the epic action scenes where they're fighting whatever the hell, they're also singing a song. Why not do that? Why not have one of your musical numbers be an epic fight scene? Because 99% of the time in this movie, when people are singing, they're just standing still, and the camera's just filming somebody standing and singing. Boring as fuck. I don't need Ariana Grande standing on a stage singing for 20 minutes. Can we have one action set piece set to a song? And can we stop interrupting the epic songs with dialogue that ruins the flow of the song? Like in the Wicked Part 1, the epic final song was ruined, Eggy. Would you agree? Because they kept talking between every other stanza.
And you know what's even possibly worse than that is on the official soundtrack, which for some reason started auto-playing on my Spotify when I was driving the other day. It starts auto-playing, and it's the the song is all right in of itself, so when I recognize the melody, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a fine song, I'll let that play. And the official soundtrack, the one that you would buy in a digital store or wherever, has all the dialogue from the film that's interrupting the song in the official soundtrack. So it's like a 15-minute long song that's only like 3 minutes worth of music.
That's fucking horrible. I can't believe they would release that as a track.
Maybe it was like a bonus or something. Maybe they released multiple versions. I know that's a thing they like to do with albums. Is they've been doing this since the first records were ever pressed, where you'd have like 5 versions of one song on a record to get all the most money out of it possible. So that certainly is a possibility. But that's what was auto playing on Spotify from what it was apparently the Wicked soundtrack. And I thought, and the funny thing, because I hadn't seen the film yet, so I was familiar with the song. I'd heard the song played around, so I'm not thinking too much of it. I'm just like, oh, this is kind of weird. And then I'm watching it in the theater. I'm like, oh my god, I'm knowing everything they're about to say because all the dialogue from the movie was in the track from the soundtrack. I was like, wow, at first, a series and a franchise, it seems like it wants to monetize everything to the maximum. Like, what an oversight to just pump out such garbage, you know?
Yeah, who wants to listen to that in the car when it's just people talking for most of it? But REA, are we off track here with anything we're saying?
I agree. This is sort of the problem with staged screen adaptations in general, because songs are written for a format where it's just people in one room, either standing still or dancing around in the confines of one room. So the way to have an action sequence paired with a song is to write a new song for an action sequence. Right. There are 2 new songs, right, and neither of them are paired with action sequence.
I think in the opening scene, they should have wrote a song about freeing the slaves or fighting tyranny, because I like that action scene at the beginning. It should have had a song to it.
I mean, I don't know if I'd go that far, but that's just because I liked the scene enough as it is. Like, one of the things I predicted and actually wanted was them to show Alphaba freeing the animals instead of just talking about it. And I was very satisfied with it, so I don't know if adding singing would improve it, but...
Was this a new song? The There's Nowhere Like Home song? Because I didn't remember hearing that before.
That was not in the stage show, and you know what my first thought when they got to the title of that song was? All the most obnoxious people in the world are going to use protest. Because I remember going to immigration protests in 2017, and there were people carrying signs that said, "Immigrants, we get the job done," like in Hamilton. And the opening to No Place Like Home is Alphaba saying, "It's our home, we need to fight for it. They hate us. They've always hated us. You're right, I don't know why I want to fight for a home that's always hated me. I do, because this is my home and there's no place like home." I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be... maybe the age of cringe protests is over. I feel like a lot of kid types will put "There's no place like home" on their signs at whatever protest they're going to. And the great thing about "No Place Like Home" is that it's such an open-ended phrase. You could use it for almost any protest. Anything you don't like about the government, you just say, "Oh, they're threatening our home, and there's no place like home."
And I actually thought the exact opposite. I thought it. I wrote in my notes, ICE should use this song while rounding up illegals. Because we're sending them home. Like, you don't belong here. And that's the irony of this movie, is that at least Alphaba and the Freaks were actually born in the land of Oz that hates them and wants them out. But if the metaphor is supposed to be like foreigners or illegals or whatever, this isn't their home. There's no place like home, buddy. Back to El Salvador, back to Ecuador. But
I mean, the political overtones are actually fairly toned down from what they were in the stage show. I don't know if you could tell, but in the stage show was written during Bush's first term, and the dynamic between Madame Morrible and the Wizard, very similar to the dynamic between Dick Cheney and George Bush that was in basically every political satire made around that time. And the not Bushisms, because Bushism has a specific meaning, but it's the Bush-like demeanor of the Wizard is not present in Jeff Goldblum's performance. No, it's present in the original Broadway cast, and it's present in a lot of the later cast that trying to imitate Joel Grey's performance. And the references to Bush that are in the dialogue, like there were two references, like in the stage show script that early on got laughs because there were references to things happening in the news, like the part where Nessa Rose shouts, "I'm an unelected official. I can't be seen harboring a fugitive," which is was a reference to the perception that we had to go to war with Iraq because they were harboring fugitives and because they officials weren't elected. Like, this all sounds like fucking schizo QAnon shot, like shit. But if you read like contemporary reviews from when Wicked came out 22 years ago, like people were saying this stuff about it then. But like that line was removed. The line where Linda refers to Nessa Rose being killed as a regime change is also removed. So it actually, it doesn't feel like they're trying to make it less political. They're just trying to make it less dated in a way that also makes it less political. It would make sense that if they're doing this, they would try to put in modern political references as well. There's nothing that overtly stands out to me as being about Trump. Like,
I think, and I know it's probably from the original, but I think the Wizard's song, like lyric by lyric, word for word, could probably apply to Trump pretty well. He's like, everybody, you believe in me and you'll ignore the facts before your eyes because you love me so much.
Well, I think it's a great.
That was
what comes to mind.
That was actually.
I'm sorry.
You go ahead. You go ahead, Eggy.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it takes me back to the classic. You know, you might have seen. I'm so old head now. I forget the gentleman's name. The Russian man, the old Subversion video, where he goes, "Oh, you know, eventually they'll just want to believe the lies because that's what they prefer to believe versus the truth." I feel like it's just kind of a standard, consistent cult sort of thinking that could be implied through whether that's brainwashing, cultural subversion, general practices that you have in cults, like cutting off from family and certain repetitive practices that get a certain kind of demeanor installed. But I thought, honestly, could say that might have been still my favorite part of the movie, because I'm like, it's kind of low-key red-pilled right now, to be honest. It is what it is.
That guy you're talking about, I don't remember his last name, but his first name was Yuri. It's very funny.
Yeah, Yuri Bemenzikov or something like that, yeah. Bezmenov, I believe. Yeah.
So the song "Wonderful" is in the stage show, but the intro where Alphaba says she'll expose the Wizard, and the Wizard says, "That won't change anything. They'll just choose to keep believing in me," wasn't in the stage show. Like, I think that given the way the Citizens of Oz are written, like, it's already implied that because they literally believe water can melt Alphaba. They're choosing to believe stupid shit just because hating people is fun. It's kind of one of the big points of the show, that people love hating, will make up something to hate. That dialogue wasn't in the stage show, and verse, I don't even remember how the verse goes, but the verse where he says, "Take it from an old carny once they buy your blarney," that verse was actually new for the movie as well.
Yeah,
and I
those
really
opening
liked that.
verses are exactly what made me think of Trump, so it's funny that those are new.
Yeah, I really liked that, but another thing I didn't like is way Alphaba reneges on her deal with the wizard in this version. So in the stage show, it all happens very, very fast. So, you know, Wizard doesn't even hesitate to free the monkeys. Once Alphaba says, "I'll work with you if you free the monkeys," he just immediately does it and is like, "Sure," and frees them. And then one of them, I don't remember if it's specifically Chistery in the stage show, but one of the flying monkeys then reveals Dr. Dillamond in a cage under a tarp. And Alphaba's like, "Oh, whoa. Wizard's like, "Alphaba, listen to me. We couldn't let him speak out. He'd seen too much." And Alphaba's like, Alphaba, I will never trust you," and flies away. And my interpretation of that scene was that Alphaba probably could have negotiated with the wizard into letting Dr. Dillamond go, but again, because she's very hot-tempered and this is a very stressful situation, she just doesn't even try. Even though, which is kind of silly when you consider she already knew the animals were being lobotomized. The way it plays out in the movie is that it's not an immediate thing. They flee, the monkeys are freed. Then there's a several minutes pass between the monkeys being freed and Alphaba finding out about all the other animals in cages. And so by the time that she finds out, enough time has passed that Wizard could conceivably have freed these animals if he wanted to. And on top of that, when in this version in the movie, when he makes the decision to free the monkeys as Alphaba wants, we see him stop and think and go, wait, yeah, I can do this. The implication there being that he's making the decision that he can free the monkeys so long as he still has other animals. And I have two problems with this. The first is that it makes him more Machiavellian and more scheming than in the stage show. And the other problem is that if he really believes what he's saying, he really believes that it doesn't matter if people know the truth because they won't believe it, then why does he still need to silence animals? Like, he literally says, "With you on my side, Alphaba, need to scapegoat the animals." Well, if that's true, why are you still keeping them in cages and trying to remove the ability to speak?
Same reason you're not releasing the Epstein files in their full form. And just because you have the cult of personality doesn't mean you aren't extremely guilty on some things that you need to keep quiet.
Yeah, and I just want to say, too, if we're going to talk about Bushisms, why would she not want to negotiate with the wizard after she opens up the secret chamber full of everybody else? Because we do not negotiate with terrorists. That's right. That wizard. Also, one thing I want to say, speaking of modern interpretations of this material, home sis wheels. I don't have her name in front of me right now. But I thought that, Nessa Rose, she great representation of true femcel energy here. They say they're not real, but just watch this movie. She's all laid up in her wheelchair since back in the day. It is what it is, but she's finally been on that Grussel set, been going through all these hoops to finally achieve political power. She wants Bach. She wants that big Bach cock, you know what I'm saying? But he's still too just taken by Glinda. He's like, OMG, she's so hot, she's so skeletal, I like it like that. I don't want some chick that's gonna be flopping around with some kind of puppeteered legs. It's freakish, I don't like it. So what does she do? She goes and snatches up the grimoire, and wishes that his heart literally disintegrates in his own chest, true femcel style, and
he becomes a giant dildo for her to fuck as the Tin Man.
Exactly.
Alphaba's just like, oh my god. But then she's like, oh, Alphaba, this is all your fault. You should have never came here. Just blaming everybody else for the fact that she's not attractive and has to roll around in a wheelchair. I mean, listen, you could be dead. You got to look at the bright side, people. It is what it is.
there is one major difference between how this was handled in the stage show and how it's handled in the film, and I don't know if you guys noticed it. In the stage show, when Alphaba shows up, Nessa specifically complains that Alphaba has magic, and yet Alphaba never tried to give her the ability to walk. And the actress playing Nessa Rhodes in the movie found this offensive, and she said it's problematic that Nessa Rhodes would wish for the ability to walk, because there's nothing wrong with not being able to walk. This is a case of, like, I don't think the actress actually believes this. No way, if you're in a wheelchair, you would not take the ability to walk if it was offered to you. Like, this is very obvious someone just trying to get, like, trying to, feel. It's like the actors who demanded that changes be made to the Book of Mormon script. They want to feel important. They want to say, hey, look, I made a change. I'm an important person. Look at what I did.
Woke points.
Exactly.
Let's ruin this fine art. So is that why she keeps bitching in the movie? You didn't come to Father's funeral. You're a convicted felon, a criminal. You'd be arrested on sight, but that's why I hate you, because you didn't come to this funeral.
I mean, that's still in the stage show, but at the very end of it, she's supposed to say, "Why didn't you ever give me the ability to walk?" And then Alphaba does. And what happens is she says, "Why didn't you ever use your magic to make me feel the way I felt that night with Bach at the dance?"
Oh,
it's a much vaguer and less specific wish.
But doesn't she make her sister start floating in midair in this movie? And then she says, and I quote, "Finally from these powers, something good." First of all, retarded sequence of words here. Like, trying to talk like Yoda for some reason. But in a movie that opens with you using your powers to fight against, like, slaveholders, I don't know if you should be saying, "Oh, my sister's floating. Finally, some good from these harsh, horrible powers."
I hadn't made that connection, but you're right. It's easier not to notice that if you don't actually see her using her powers to free animals. She makes her float on air, but because she says that the night with Buck, it felt like she was floating on air, and then she makes her float.
Oh my fucking god! Yeah, that's so stupid.
It was the first time she saw a real Chad, so she wasn't getting any circulation down to her pussy, and that's why her legs stopped working. They were all crinkled up from, everything was all dysfunctional. But when she saw that big Bach coming in the room, everything just started flowing how it was supposed to, and that's why she started feeling sensation again.
Is there any irony to this storyline with a SpongeBob guy trying to break up Ariana Grande's marriage in the movie, and then that's what happened on set in real life?
Well, in both the movie and in real life, Ethan Slater fucked everything up by simping for Ariana Grande.
That's right.
Ends up with Nessa Rhodes in the first place because Linda says that it would mean a lot to her if she took Nessa to the dance, because no one else. If he took Nessa to the dance, because no one else will. That's how he ends up being Nessa's sex slave and ultimately being turned into an unfeeling monster. And in real life, Ethan Slater destroyed his marriage and his family because he had a kid by simping for the real Ariana Grande.
But he was with her for quite a while, right? So maybe it paid off.
Wait, I thought it was just a fling on the set. Were they still together after shooting ended?
For all I know, they're together right now. But I think they might have recently broken up.
Well, just on his Wikipedia page, since July 2023, Ethan Slater's been in a relationship with Ariana Grande, who he met on the set of Wicked.
They're still together, Eggy. True love prevails yet again.
That's right. He made, cause his ex-wife was a psychologist. I mean, who wants to come home to that every night? You got Ariana Grande walking in. She's like, "Oh no!" Well, she's singing all these, best songs, best singer in the world, iconic. Little COVID here and there. It is what it is. Versus some psychologist who's gonna be like, all this jumbo mumbo talk. Nobody wants to hear that shit. To be honest, it is what it is. He did the right thing, probably.
I don't know a single Ariana Grande song, but that's because I'm out of touch and listen to weird music for weird people.
Have you heard Popular?
That's not, when I say Ariana Grande song, I mean I mean songs from her career as a pop artist, not a show tune that she formed 20 years after it was published.
I saw a headline that says Ariana Grande becomes the first human in history to have a #1 movie and album in back-to-back years, and it's thanks to this.
Well, thank you, Wicked, for helping Ariana Grande break a record.
Which, how does that not apply to everybody else in the movie? They're all on the fucking album.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Why doesn't Cynthia get that honor? She's the lead.
Wait. So the #1 album, when it said first stars to have a #1 album and #1 movie back to back, the album it was referring to, the Wicked album?
Yeah,
I assumed it was referring to another.
Maybe it wasn't the Wicked album. Actually, I didn't click beyond the headline.
If it was the Wicked album, by that logic, yeah, not only would it apply to everyone else in Wicked, it would have applied to the cast of Frozen. I'm pretty sure that Let It Go was number one for a few weeks after the movie came out.
Yeah, but Frozen didn't have back-to-back movies back-to-back years.
Oh, right.
But I wonder, did Ariana Grande have 2 personal albums in back-to-back years that both hit #1?
Like I said, I've never heard a single Ariana Grande song. I don't know what her pop music career is like.
What about Popular? Have you heard that one? We just do like the last 3 minutes again over and over for an hour.
All I know is that she said her 2 dream roles are Glinda, which she has now played, and Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors. And there's a picture of her dressed as Audrey for Halloween a few years ago. And I think she also sang Suddenly Seymour with Seth MacFarlane in the James Corden car karaoke thing. So she has the clout that she could make it happen now.
Well, let's make some predictions, because I think that's a box office bomb. I don't think the Wicked audience gives a fuck about the singing, talking plant and the fucking weird rapey
of course they don't.
nerd. So I don't think it'll happen.
We probably shouldn't talk too much about Little Shop of Horrors just because it's literally my favorite work of fiction and I could talk about it for 10 hours. So if we
favorite work of fiction, that's a big statement because fiction encompasses a lot of shit.
Well, my second favorite is Neon Genesis Evangelion. So,
give me like a 2-minute pitch on why Little Shop is the greatest thing ever made by man.
So there's objective qualities and subjective qualities. This isn't a genuinely like good, well-made thing, and this is a thing I like. So Little Shop of Horrors is it's a story that's been told a million times in a million ways. A man sells his soul to the devil, and then the devil comes to collect his due, and he gets fucked. Makes Little Shop of Horrors, for me, more powerful than other versions of this story. Is one that Seymour both immensely relatable and immensely horrible. The horrible things he does are objectively the worst things a human being can do, but also all these years later, after it's been 16 years since I first saw it, I still don't know that I would have done anything differently in his shoes. Very hard for me to believe I would not have succumbed the way he succumbed. Other thing is that my favorite feeling that art can create is ambivalent, or the feeling of not knowing how to feel. You know, there's comedy, there's drama, there's dark comedy, but my favorite feeling is genuinely not knowing whether you're supposed to laugh or whether you're supposed to cry. What is this specific moment supposed to make me feel? Feeling of uncertainty. Like, most stage production Little Shop of Horrors, like, they fall closer to the dark comedy side of the spectrum, but to me, like, the best productions of the musical are the ones that have you make, like, a state of uncomfortable, nervous laughter the entire time. Where, yes, this is funny, but also really uncomfortable. And there are very few works of art that manage to elicit that specific feeling. Again, it's also, in my opinion, the best version of the Faust story. Also, very funny. The songs are great, and I love that all the characters fit into recognizable archetypes, while at the same time, very specific character, like well-rounded character. Like Seymour isn't just a nerdy klutz. Like, yeah, he is this thing, but he's also so much more. Audrey isn't just the, naive sweetheart. Wisnik isn't just the greedy boss. Aaron isn't just the sadist. I mean, the closest character that comes to being like simple archetype is Audrey 2 himself, the plant. And even then, you have to think it's fair for the devil to be simplistic. And even then, I don't know. This isn't a Little Shop of Horrors review, so I know I should spoil Little Shop of Horrors. And then I think it's a fairly nuanced take on the embodiment of evil, given that from a certain point of view, actions taken by Audrey 2 actually weren't unreasonable. And I would go into more detail about that, but again, that'd be spoiling a musical that this is not a review for. Well,
I'll probably spoil here with my question, but if I recall, does the movie end with the complete apocalypse of humanity?
The director's cut does.
Okay,
the work
that's
print
what
does.
I saw.
Good, you saw the good version.
Yeah, I liked the ending for sure. I love the puppeteering and all that. I don't dislike this musical, but I thought that was an extreme take, but you've got fair reasons for it, so I'll allow it. Judge Mumkey approves.
Thank you. But
Eggy.
How do you feel about me saying Evangelion's my second favorite?
Well, it's fine.
Okay.
Eggy, what's your favorite
Again,
piece of fiction in general?
Oh, well, it's kind of hard to say because I've always been more of a gamer, I guess, at the end of the day.
Games are fiction?
My favorite game series is, we're the OG World of Warcraft, this new stuff, probably maybe Outland at best, as far as really just the beginnings, even back to like Warcraft 1 through 3. And I would also say the Phantasy Star universe I'm very fond of. And really just, I like Dungeons and Dragons-esque settings as well. Just like any kind of good fantasy adventure. So there's a lot out there to fit the bill, I guess. Anything of that sort, like very fantastical, maybe like Lord of the Rings even. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings head, but if I were to pick out, something that I really found to be if I had to make a choice is what a popular or well-known or to some extent property, or at least a well-developed property that I really enjoyed, that would definitely be one of them. But yeah, anything that kind of fits that bill. And Phantasy Star is a bit different, with the outer space element, but I have enjoyed outer space things as well in the past, and sort of the fantasticalness that's in that series with how it blends some of those sort of dungeon party adventurer elements along with outer space elements and magical elements and things like that. Those are all very enjoyable to me, and probably why I like World of Warcraft also, because it's got those recognizable adventuring elements and fantasy elements, but developed in a way that I could appreciate.
Never played any of the Warcraft games. Is World of Warcraft the one to start with, or would I start with one of the single player games?
World of Warcraft, it's very well made. If you go play a classic or whatever, it really brings quite well the original universe elements into that multiplayer way, especially if you're like me and you read into all the quests you're doing, these quests. There's an optimized way to play where you're just mashing through to get max level and everything like that. I was a role player on back in the day. I liked to go through and read the text of every single quest. Something that it just over the years they stopped caring about it as much. It was not fitting the meta of everybody just trying to, get to the end as fast as possible, get all the best. Everything is, be the best as fast as possible. I enjoyed all the story of it. So I would say, I think it would maybe be difficult to get an organic role-playing experience, but maybe I think there's a server Turtle WoW. I think that they and they have their own unique content on there as well that they've developed. They've had the server around for 7 or 8 years. And I think there's some people on there that pay attention to the lore and to the role playing and to the story and everything like that. And if you play it like how I played it, that is probably the more enjoyable way to do it. But there's nothing wrong, I think, with starting with Warcraft to get an idea of, it's not necessary, but you might appreciate World of Warcraft more if you did start with the original Warcraft games.
Okay. For the record, I do remember recommendations people make to me, and I even have a Google Doc where I write down everything that people recommend to me. I almost never get around to any of them unless someone actually forces me. Like, there are movies that people recommended to me, like, over a decade ago that I still haven't seen. Like, remember, I'm 29 now. I was either 14 or 15. Someone, like, made a pitch to me. Like, where they were like, you have to see the French movie, the Umbrellas of Cherbourg. And I was like, wow, that movie sounds amazing. I will see it. And it's been 15 years, and I still haven't seen it. In fact, I checked it out of the library at one point, intending to see it. Returned it without ever seeing it. That's like how bad I am with recommendations.
You're going to be on your deathbed thinking, damn it, I should have watched that fucking movie, all those hours spent doom scrolling on whatever website. I could have been watching what Banshees of Inisherin or whatever made-up movie title you just said. For the record, I'd like to point out that the actual best work of fiction in general is the One Piece manga, of course.
Well, everything I've seen about One Piece makes it look like exact kind of thing, because I love cartoons, and by cartoons I mean like Looney Tunes, exaggerated, like eyes popping out, that kind of thing. And One Piece seems to have a lot of that.
Definitely.
It's also so insanely long that I cannot imagine ever finishing it.
Hey, I can tell you from my experience, having just started it last year, you can make progress on it. It seems daunting, perhaps, especially if you're trying to go into it just watching the anime more so, I suppose. But I would concur that it definitely has had those adventuring elements that I'm fond of. It's got some of those fantasy elements as well. So even though it's not, and it's got like a party structure, because you like to have some personalities around. You're not trying to be on some castaway Tom Hanks stuff. You're just out in the middle of nowhere all the time forever. But yeah, I think you'd like it, Arya. I'd say if you're not familiar, maybe give it a little listen to our podcast about it. Actually, how about it's something you can just play all day and get some.
Yeah, don't even have to read or watch it. Just hear us talk about it. There's at least one guy doing that.
There's someone listening to your podcast without reading or watching One Piece.
Yeah, we recap it and analyze it good enough that they don't even need to.
I mean, I love recap stuff, but to me, if you haven't seen the thing that's being recapped, that's just cheating.
It's called being a big Eggy fan, an Eggy absolutist. They'll listen to anything he's in, no matter what.
Speaking of which, thank you for smashing the like button.
That's right.
Do you, in the podcast, do you review the manga chapters? Do you review the anime episodes?
The manga.
Okay, if I read the manga, would that go by faster than watching the anime?
Probably 10 times faster.
Okay. That does...
I would not recommend the anime to anybody. I would always recommend reading it.
Interesting. Do you not recommend the anime because it's longer, or is it just not as good?
It's not as good, for sure. Lots of filler content to stretch out the episode run times. And, I mean, I watch the fights that seem cool on YouTube, and you'll be good.
Let me look at I'm opening my notes document now, which I haven't looked at since right before starting the podcast, because I want to know if there were any other points I wanted to bring up that I did not remember to bring up.
Yeah, Eggy, any final thoughts on Wicked while we're all thinking?
Well, I might have echoed similar sentiments in the stage show review. I feel like if you're of the mindset that there's nothing here that could possibly appeal to you, you're probably correct, and you probably do not want to take 5.5 hours to sit down for this. But you do need to watch the first film in order to really get the second one. It is not a standalone film. You need both parts. The music I thought was fine. The acting, I've only had seen Cynthia Erivo in interviews and stuff like that. She always seemed a bit off-putting. I don't know. I didn't much care for her presence. So I was very surprised. I thought really in the film that she gave an endearing performance more often than not. It wasn't off-putting to me like her presence was in the interviews and things that I'd seen of her. I would say that Michelle Kwan or whatever her name is, she's kind of like
Michelle Kwan. Is that the name of the Family Guy character?
I called. She's a figure skater or something. I called her Julie Jen Moonves at the theater because I didn't know who this was. But yeah, she gives a performance that's very similar to Everything Everywhere All at Once, where it's like, she's from Malaysia, I think. She's still got her accent and everything like that. So it was fine. I thought that she played like an old bitch well enough here. But I would say maybe if there was one performance that I didn't love, probably was hers, just because it's got like a very, I don't know, it's just got a very strong energy of her versus the character, but the characters, it's fine enough.
It's the Ronnie Chang problem. I'm surprised that all these Oscars went to Everything Everywhere All at Once, because also the Asian guy in that movie, they can't act through their fucking accents. And I don't buy any of their characters ever. It's always, I can't fucking speak English.
Well, and that's to say another credit to Cynthia's performance here is that I'm hearing her voice, and she's got like a British voice, but there's none of that in her. She's got a perfect, I guess maybe.
Yeah, why can Cynthia change her accent perfect, but Ki Hee Kwan can't? For fuck's sake, you're supposed to be an actor. Where's your British accent, Michelle?
Exactly. So... yeah, if you're looking at this and it's like, yeah, there's no way that this is going to appeal to me, you're probably very correct. If you are open to music, like I said, yeah, the music is good. The interruptions are not, they didn't ruin the film for me. They would have been better off not being there, or at least be like sing through. Like, why do we need the change back and forth? It seems amateur to me. But with everything being said, and a couple of slow dragging points at certain parts, overall, I think probably I could say honestly like a 6.5 maybe. It was it was all good enough.
Too high.
I feel like a 6 to 6.5 somewhere in that ballpark, considering that all the effects were well, some of the acting was quite good. The music was enjoyable enough. The CG wasn't. I think I say the effects already. The atmosphere, the direction. There's some good shots in there, here and there. But yeah, I didn't hate it. I wouldn't probably not watch this again for at least several years.
Never again. Are you kidding? Never. There's no reason to see this again.
It's just on paper, like, if I go through the checkpoints, I think there's people who are really going to love it. It's not
in our audience.
Yeah, right. Exactly. 100%. I completely agree with that.
We suffered so that they don't have to. We're like the nostalgia critic over here.
Yeah. If you're someone who's not familiar with any of this and you feel like you're open to it, I would say it might be worth it, but it's not great, in my opinion.
REA, did you find your final notes?
I did, and it looks like the only things I didn't bring up were, I thought it was awesome when the soldiers chanted Popular, when they were going, la, la, la.
Yeah, that was good.
And that, I don't know if it's a me problem or if it's a problem with the movie, but I felt that we didn't capture what I liked about Wizard. So I loved the character of the Wizard in the stage show, because it felt to me like, well, obviously he lying to the public, but it felt like everything he said to Alphaba actually meant. Like, he actually thinks that, this is the best way to run a society. And in the end, Alphaba, she doesn't admit it, but she kind of comes around to his way of thinking when she realizes that she needs to be the enemy that everyone unites around. And it felt to me like this interpretation couldn't make up its mind about whether the wizard was genuine in the things he told her or whether he was bullshitting her. Because again, in this version, he did deliberately lie to her about all those animals he was fighting. So I don't know if that's a me thing or a movie thing, because again, the movie, it did the really important things which to make him sympathetic, which were have him be really drunk and depressed after he gives the order to kill Alphaba, and then have him resign in shame after he realizes Alphaba was his daughter. So they're still trying to make him a sympathetic villain. He didn't feel as well-rounded to me as in the stage show. And I don't know if that's because of the writing differences or because of Jeff Goldblum's performance, but that was something that disappointed me. Maybe with time, if I reflect, I'll feel differently about it. Right now, I'm giving the movie an 8 out of 10 as someone who loved the musical and loves musicals in general. If you're not someone who liked the stage show, you're not going to like this. If you're not someone who likes musicals in general, you're not going to like this. And
you give part 2 8 out of 10. What do you say about part 1?
Huh. I think part 1 was a 9, actually.
So this is only a slight downgrade from part 1.
Yes.
Yeah, I suppose I should clarify. I guess if I'm saying a 6 out of 10 with me watching the double feature, I would say maybe more so part 1 was like a week 7, and this is maybe more like a 4.5 or something for part 2. I think that would maybe be more of my final estimations between the two of them.
I don't know what popular musicals there are left to make in the movies besides maybe Miss Saigon, which has a pro shot, and the pro shot's probably good enough.
Yeah, I watched that pro shot. That was good enough. I like. I can't remember the name of the guy, but you know the guy that everybody likes from that show. They got to do a Book of Mormon movie. Guy. The engineer, I think, was his name. Yeah.
I call him American Dream Guy because to me the whole show only exists to justify that one song, which Trump should play at rallies.
Now he should be playing "There's No Place Like Home" at rallies. Send them all back.
He should.
I think it's interesting, Eggy, that we just reviewed Scarface and this movie has the same exact lesson. They need someone to be wicked in public so that you can do good.
Holy shit! I totally forgot I was supposed to this whole podcast talking about Charlie Kirk. Literally forgot until just now, and the podcast is over.
Well, you know what? I'm looking right now. Our review of the Wicked Broadway show was an hour 32, and this just passed the hour 32 mark. So we don't want to confuse people and think it's a repost. So you might as well rant about Charlie a little bit so we have a different runtime.
Okay, so Charlie Kirk's death in and of itself did not bother me. People die all the time. It's a tragedy.
I'm clapping in case you can't tell.
People die all the time. It's sad, but I don't know this guy. He's just some celebrity. What took me was the reaction people had to his death. And, you know, I used to be politically radical in my early 20s. It took me years to dissuade myself of some of those notions. And the reactions to Charlie Kirk's death triggered a full relapse. It is insane to me that same people who will say, no, you can't use those words, no, you can't make those jokes, will celebrate a man being murdered for his speech, in front of his family, no less. And you have all these people won't celebrate it, will instead say, you know, I don't feel sorry for Charlie. I'm not happy about it, but I don't feel sorry for him. Which is basically just them trying to get away with celebrating it in a way that they don't think will get them in trouble. I've talked on various podcasts about my raging hate boner for Vivzy Pop. Vivzy Pop's an example. Kristen Chenoweth, the original Glinda, he made a statement saying, you know, the basic thoughts and prayers for Charlie Kirk's family. And then she took it down and apologized because Wicked fans were upset at her for showing, you know, basic compassion for this Nazi. You have all these people love Wicked who seem to understand the message of Wicked. Shitting on Charlie. people making TikToks doing no one more the wicked with Charlie Kirk. Not like to make the obvious point that Charlie Kirk is being made into, you know, an effigy for everyone to burn, but like actually celebrating. And like cognitive dissonance. I don't know how the hell people can watch Wicked, can understand what Wicked is. Like, you don't even have to like Charlie Kirk. The whole point is you don't actually know these people, care about these people. You just want a bad guy that you could point to and go, ha ha ha, there's the bad one. This is what happened. There's literally a line in the song "No One the Wicked" that it's always really spoken to me, which is, through their lives our children learn what they miss when misbehave, which is basically saying, hey, if you don't, you know, follow social conventions, this is what you are. You are this monster if you don't conform to society. Oh, and the part that goes, wicked lives are lonely, wicked die alone. That's the way I often feel, but for a lot of reasons, one of which is my shuditude. And like Charlie, I'm not saying that Charlie Kirk is a freedom fighter the way Alphaba was. I think he was just, you know, another, you know, conservative grifter pundit guy. Like the way he's been used is the way Alphaba's used in this musical, and it's insane to me that so many people are simultaneous. I mean, it's already insane to me that there are people celebrating his death, but it's insane to me that there are people celebrating his death while also being fans of property that's built around the idea that you shouldn't do this shit. Like how, like I hate the, like this goes beyond quote unquote media literacy. This is like listening to the fucking lyrics of the opening song.
Well, you know, that this makes a good point, actually, because as we're talking in the dissection of the film here and how the edges have been rounded off and it's all just highly commercialized, and you're saying people are doing, you know, TikTok dances that are completely against the entire message of the movie. I guess it just goes to show it's kind of like also how it's common these days for at concerts, people will go to a concert because they heard a song on TikTok. Nobody will know any of the artist's music, and then the only time everybody in the audience sings along is for like the 10-second TikTok viral portion, and they don't know anything else about the songs or anything else. They're only there to take pictures. So maybe this is what we've seen become of this franchise, is that you know, the teenage girls who want to do TikTok dances to the 5 seconds of a song next to their all the consumerist stuff that their parents bought them that has the film's picture on it has become the prominent priority in what the film is seeking after its creation and publication, more so than, you know, what actual story or anything that should be being taken from the film at the end of the day. So I think there's definitely something to say about that. Yeah.
I think it's also like how they pick and choose history. They pick and choose who gets to relate to Alphaba, and these teen girls, they, you know, when they're misunderstood in society, they get to be Alphaba. But when Charlie Kirk gets killed, maybe he's the wizard. You know, like he doesn't get that same benefit of the doubt. And this isn't really about Wicked, but this is a point that I don't think enough people actually talk about, and I want enough. Like, I just want to get this message out there. People act like having incorrect political beliefs is a moral failing. Well, for one thing, I don't believe beliefs can be moral failings. Only actions are moral failings. And two, like, there are like neurological differences in the brains of conservatives and liberals. Like, these differences in beliefs are downstream of actually different neurochemistry. So, like, there's this, a lot of the way people justify demonizing, say, people, leftists specifically, since I mostly see this on the left. If a guy justifies demonizing their political enemies is by saying, well, it's not like they had to be assholes. It's like, well, their beliefs are downstream
from the prism through which they view reality. They see the world a certain way because the chemicals flowing through their brain condition them to see it a certain way. You can be mad at them for what they choose to do in response to these biases they have, but vilify people just for having them. Like what did Charlie Kirk do? Oh, he went around arguing with people on college campuses. Like what the is not on the same level. Like, I don't know, the guy who like electroshocks gay kids to turn them straight. Like if you think that guy who does, electroshock conversion therapy, guy who sits down and says, maybe electroshock conversion therapy would be a good idea, I don't know. If you think they're on the same level, you're fucking insane. Because these are both people, like, yeah, I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but there seems to me to be a lot of demonization of conservatives that comes from not even, like, total misunderstanding of what makes someone a conservative, and like what drives people to have different beliefs. Am I being coherent right now? Because this is something I think I've articulated out loud. I've learned it through writing, but never out like orally.
Eggy, you picking up what he's putting down?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely. It's it. One thing I guess about all that that's been interesting to me, definitely the bizarre kind of reaction, just from I guess you don't typically see like young people or people with like certain kind of normal. I guess is what the idea was around the time. Like, normal people are out like covering themselves in blood and laughing in public, like. But I think everybody's just so also absorbed in social media too that like I think a lot of people have kind of lost some of their mental faculties for that regard as well. Like they're just going to immediately throw themselves at whatever they are perceiving to be the most socially acceptable and beneficial for their own status or perception, if they think that that's what's going to be the right move for people to enjoy. But after it happened, yeah, everybody's was really riled up, and there's it's about to be, here we go, it's really down to the nitty gritty. So that was like 10 weeks ago, and I don't think Trump has made like a single arrest. He's saying, well, actually, no, I think he did arrest a few people that shot up an ICE facility now, but it seemed a bit like the response that at the time was like, oh my goodness, here we go, yeah, this is crazy, look what they're doing, and oh my goodness, and everybody was, we were getting people off of jobs for those couple weeks or whatever, and it was like, okay, this is a real game changer. Now Trump's been going live and being like, well, I think we just need 10 trillion new Chinese H-1Bs, and Americans are stupid and lazy. It is what it is. And it's like, damn, like,
I get the feeling we disagree on this. I'm pro high skilled legal immigration from China and India. I think we talked about this. We talked about this last time, actually, and then you told me about illegal immigrant. Like,
yeah, you didn't know about the truck driver thing, but what was the name of the wicked actress who was Instagramming about Charlie Kirk's death?
Kristen Chenoweth. She played Glinda in the original Broadway cast. She made a very normal thoughts and prayers post, and took it down and apologized. People were
so this is just
her
a
Nazi sympathy.
Random actress who has no connection to Charlie Kirk at all felt the need to tweet out thoughts and prayers or whatever about this guy getting killed on the day that it happened.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, the shocking part isn't that she tweeted it; it's that she removed it and apologized.
The shocking part to me, I think most people can pick up what I'm putting down here, but I think I see the connection of why she and many other people who have no connection to him felt the need to tweet out about that on that day. I think her name gives a big hint. But we can wrap this one up. Eggy, any final thoughts? Anything you want to plug?
Well, go subscribe. It's at One Egg White on YouTube. We're getting in close to 13K subs. The channel's back up. Got it back this year, and I'm starting to use it again. Got a re-upload of an old song that was floating around, hadn't been republished. Got that put up yesterday. We're gonna have some more streams coming up. You can go follow at 2 Egg White on Twitter. So I just got back on there last week, or maybe almost 2 weeks now, also.
RA, what you got going on online?
Instead of plugging anything I'm working on, I'm going to plug a book that I recommend to everyone interested in that Charlie Kirk ramble I gave, called The Righteous Mind by the author Jonathan Haidt. It's about why people have different political views and why it makes us hate each other.
That's right. We should all unite as a people, say fuck politics, fuck the left, the right. They're all rapists, pedophiles. Who cares? We'll start the people party.
Just like, I'm not even like talking about electoral politics. I just think you shouldn't hate other people unless they actually do fucked up shit. But like, if someone has a different, you shouldn't hate someone over difference of opinion. Is what I'm getting at.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's fair. You concur, Eggy? We're good to go?
Absolutely. That's right.
Are we coming back next year for Wicked Part 3?
I hope they do a prequel about the wizard. They could call it Oz the Great and Powerful. They could get
James Franco?
The Spider-Man guy said he wanted to do something with the wizard.
That'd be good. Yeah, get Raimi in there to direct. Eggy, did you see this? So the title card of Wicked Part 1 says Wicked Part 1, and then the title card for Part 2 says Wicked for Good.
Correct.
How do you fumble that? Inconsistent nonsense. Don't put Part 1 if you're not going to put Part 2 in Part 2. Just leave it. Just have Wicked and Wicked for Good. Do one or the other, you motherfuckers.
I mean, I agree, on a foundational level, I think, but also at the same time, with them using the exact same, like, you're opening into the same background with the exact same font. The title card is stylized so that it's got that slight angling in the exact same way. I think if you're not paying close attention, if it had just said Wicked the first time, you might, maybe you would have you might not have been 100% sure which one you're clicking on. So
that would not have been an issue when it came out.
My understanding is that the first Wicked was literally going to be called Wicked Part 1. They removed the subtitle just a couple months before release.
And they left it in the movie.
Yeah, they could have changed the title card. I don't know why they didn't. But to me, the problem isn't with Wicked for Good. It's with the first Wicked for having that subtitle there.
Yeah, they should not have done that. I'll also point out, in my cam rip, there's a scene where Michelle Yeoh falls into like a cake, and then some animal licks some frosting off her face. And the guy filming the cam rip started giggling at that. He thought that was funny. So thank you, Based Mexican, because there were Spanish subtitles the whole time.
The whole time we're waiting on Michelle to get her comeuppance, and that's a little taste, just like the little taste of cake off her face.
Yeah, the only way I could understand what Michelle Yeoh was saying was by reading the Spanish subtitles and translating them.
That's another thing. I thought it was unnecessary for them to show that the animals get their rights back. Like, I'm not bothered by them doing that. That's another, like, them going out of their way to clear up any ambiguity so people can feel happier when leaving the theater. It just feels unnecessary to me.
I would have been much happier not watching this at all. Peace, people.
Love peace.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Dr. Nick.
We'll be back in 2026 for Ariana Grande's Fokker in Law. That's what it says.
Is she really in that?
It says she's in it.
Whoa! Low res, are you ready?
Some character named Olivia Jones, whoever that is.
Monkey's cousin.
That's right.
Gonna have some hot monkey sex with a skeleton.